Welcome back to our channel, English with Ethan. In this video, you will hear the story of a girl who didn't go to English classes, didn't memorize grammar rules, and didn't wait for the perfect moment. She simply changed one thing. She made English a habit, not a subject, and that one decision changed everything in her life. This story is not just inspiring. It's a guide for anyone who wants to speak English confidently. Let's begin. Part 1. The day she stopped studying English. Her name was Isla. She was 24 years old, working as a cashier in a small bakery. Every day she met tourists who spoke English, and every day she smiled, but stayed silent. "I understand a little," she would say shyly, "but I can't speak well." She had studied English in school for years. She passed exams, wrote essays, memorized rules. But when someone spoke to her in real life, she froze. Her mouth didn't move. Her brain got stuck, and she always felt embarrassed. One evening, she sat on her bed and whispered to herself, "Why can't I speak? I've studied English all my life." Then she looked at her bookshelf. It was full of grammar books, school notes, and practice tests, and suddenly, something inside her clicked. Her big realization. She whispered, "I treat English like a subject, just like math or history. But it's not a subject. It's a language, a habit, a lifestyle." And that was the turning point. From that day, she decided, "I will stop studying English. I will start living in it." She built a simple rule: no day without English. She promised herself, no matter how busy I am, no matter how tired I feel, no matter how many mistakes I make, I will touch English every single day, and not just by reading textbooks. She changed her routine, not her job, not her city, just her daily habits. Small English habits that started everything. Here's what she did. 1. She changed her phone to English, so every time she used her phone, her brain saw English words. 2. She talked to herself in English while getting ready. Brushing her teeth, making tea, tying her hair, she said everything out loud in English. "I'm brushing my teeth now. I will wear this blue top today." 3. She listened to English while walking to work. Not full conversations, just 10-minute slow English podcasts. 4. She asked one English question to every tourist. She would say, "Hi, are you enjoying the city? Do you like the food?" One question a day, that's all. She trained her brain like a child. She didn't care about grammar. She didn't care about sounding perfect. She just made English part of her life, like food, music, and walking. And slowly, her brain began to think in English. Her mouth began to move faster. Her confidence grew naturally. In just 3 weeks, she noticed a big change. And it all started with one simple shift. Don't study English, live in it. Part 2. The first conversation that changed her life. And the first person who tried to break her confidence. In Part 1, we met Isla, a young bakery worker who always felt stuck when it came to speaking English. But one night, she had a realization. I treat English like a subject, not a habit. So she changed her approach. No more grammar rules, no more fear. Instead, she made a simple promise. I will live in English every single day. She started small, talking to herself, listening to short English podcasts, changing her phone settings, asking one question a day to tourists. But now, life was about to give her a big surprise. The unexpected conversation. One afternoon at work, a tall man walked into the bakery. He looked like a tourist, maybe from Canada or the UK. He smiled and said, "Hey, what do you recommend here?" Isla froze. It was happening. A real English conversation. Not one word, not one sentence. A full back and forth. Her hands felt cold. Her heart beat fast. But her mouth began to move. She smiled and said, "Hi, I think you'll love the almond croissant. It's fresh and sweet." He nodded. "Sounds great. And maybe a coffee too?" She replied, "Of course. Would you like hot or iced?" They continued talking. 5 minutes, maybe 6. She even asked, "Are you visiting for the first time?" He said, "Yes, your city is beautiful and your English is very good." Isla's eyes lit up. "Really? Thank you." That small moment, that one real conversation, changed her confidence forever. The power of real practice. When the man left, Isla didn't go back to her phone. She didn't check messages. She stood behind the counter, smiling. For the first time in her life, she felt like, I can do this. I can really speak English. And the best part? She didn't memorize anything. She didn't plan the sentences. She just used her daily habits. And they became her words. The one person who tried to break her. But not everyone was supportive. Later that evening, one of her co-workers, let's call her Nora, said something unkind. She had overheard Isla speaking English with the customer. "Wow," Nora said with a fake smile. "Your English is getting better. I mean, not perfect, but better. At least they understood you." Isla felt a sharp pain in her chest. Those words, they weren't helpful. They were meant to make her doubt herself. She smiled politely, but said nothing. That night, she went home and sat quietly. She looked in the mirror and whispered, "Is she right? Am I just pretending?" But then she remembered the tourist's face, his smile, his kind words. "Your English is very good." And she whispered again, "No, I'm not pretending. I'm progressing." The decision that made her unstoppable. That moment became her fuel. She wrote this in her notebook. "Let people doubt me. I won't doubt myself. Let them laugh. I'll keep speaking. Let them be perfect. I'll be consistent." From that night, she added one new rule to her habit system. Every time someone judges me, I will speak more, not less. She upgraded her routine. To make sure she kept growing, Isla added 3 new habits. 1. The Mirror Talk Challenge. She looked in the mirror every night and gave a 2-minute speech about her day, even if it was simple. "Today, I helped 40 customers. I made coffee. I cleaned the counter. I smiled at people." No grammar checking, just flow. 2. The one new word rule. She chose one new English word every day and used it 3 times in real conversations. Example. The word delicious. "This cake is delicious." "Have you tried our delicious muffins?" "The soup today is really delicious." That's how the word became natural. 3rd weekly English-only day. Every Sunday, she spoke only English to herself, from morning to night. Making breakfast? Speak in English? Doing laundry? Talk through it in English. Walking outside? Think in English. She created an English world, even though she lived in a non-English speaking country. And something started to happen. After a few more weeks, her speaking became smoother. Her brain stopped translating. Her mouth moved without fear. She was no longer a student of English. She had become a user of English, and that's where fluency begins. Part 3. Her first English interview. And the fear she had to hide. It was a sunny morning. Isla was cleaning the bakery counter when she saw a small paper on the wall next to the door. A job notice. It read, "Part-time receptionist needed. English speaking required." Apply inside the hotel. The hotel was just 2 streets away from the bakery. Isla's heart began to beat fast. She had never worked anywhere else. She had never spoken English in a professional situation, and she had never given a job interview in English. But she couldn't stop looking at the paper. Her hands were shaking, but something inside whispered, "This is your chance. You've been preparing every day. This is your test." She took a photo of the notice, put her phone in her pocket, and continued her work. But her mind was somewhere else. That night, she couldn't sleep. Isla sat on her bed, looking at her phone screen. She had opened the hotel's website. It was beautiful, modern, full of foreign visitors. She imagined herself standing at the reception desk, saying good morning to guests, helping them check in, speaking in English every day. But then her thoughts changed. What if I forget words? What if they laugh at my accent? What if I fail? She stood up and looked in the mirror. She whispered, "I'm scared, but I don't want fear to lead my life anymore." She printed her CV the next morning and walked to the hotel. The hotel entrance. It was her first time entering a place like that. Clean white floors, shiny furniture, soft piano music in the background. She walked slowly to the reception desk. A woman in a suit smiled and said, "Good morning. Can I help you?" Isla took a deep breath. "Yes, I saw the job notice. I would like to apply." The woman nodded and handed her a form. "Fill this out, please. The manager is free now. If you're ready, you can meet him in 10 minutes. Isla's hands began to sweat. 10 minutes? She thought. That fast? But she looked at the form, smiled, and whispered, "Okay, let's do this." The interview begins. The manager was kind. He looked about 40, wore glasses, and smiled warmly. He said, "Hi, Isla. Nice to meet you. Let's speak in English. Is that okay?" She nodded. Her voice was a little nervous, but clear. "Yes, that's okay." He asked, "Tell me a little about yourself." Isla followed her habit. She used her start, point, reason, close formula. "My name is Isla. I work in a bakery now, but I love speaking with people. In the last 2 months, I've been improving my English every day. I want to work here because I want to grow and use English more often." The manager smiled and asked more questions. "How do you handle a busy day? What would you say to a guest who is angry? How do you keep learning English?" Isla answered all of them using simple words, short sentences, and real examples. No fancy grammar, no big words, just clear, honest speaking. The hardest question. Then came the hardest question. Do you feel confident enough to speak English with foreign guests every day? For a moment, Isla was silent. She thought about lying and saying yes quickly, but instead, she chose truth with courage. She said, "I'm still learning. I make mistakes. But I speak English every single day. I don't stop. I don't skip. So I may not be perfect, but I'm improving fast." The manager looked at her for a few seconds, then smiled again. "Thank you for being honest. I can see your dedication." 2 days later, the email. Isla checked her phone on a rainy Wednesday. A new email arrived. She opened it with shaking hands. It said, "Dear Isla, thank you for your interview. We are happy to offer you the part-time receptionist position. We believe in your growth and look forward to working with you." Isla sat down on her bed, holding her phone. Tears filled her eyes. Not because of the job, but because everything she had done, the tiny daily habits, had finally led to this big moment. She didn't just get a job. She proved to herself, making English a daily habit works. What you can learn from Isla. You don't need a classroom, a perfect accent, big grammar books. You need consistency. You need courage. You need to practice small every day. Because when the big moment comes, an interview, a call, a job, an opportunity, you'll be ready. Part 4. Her first week at the hotel, and how she learned to stay calm in real English conversations. The hotel was big, busy, loud. Every hour, new people came in, asking for rooms, asking for help, speaking in fast English, different accents, and different styles. Isla started her new job on a Monday morning. She wore a white shirt and a black skirt, and her hands were shaking when she stood behind the reception desk for the first time. The manager smiled and said, "You'll be fine. Just be calm. Take your time. Don't try to impress. Just help." She nodded, but her heart was racing. The first challenge, fast English. At 9:30 a.m., a couple walked in. They were from the United States. The man spoke quickly. "Hi, we booked a double room with a balcony, but it wasn't showing in the confirmation. Can you check if it's available and also tell us if late checkout is possible?" Isla blinked. He had spoken too fast. She caught some words. Double room, balcony, check, late checkout. But the full sentence? Too fast. She smiled gently and said, "Sorry, could you please repeat that? A little slowly?" The man smiled back. "Of course, we booked a double room with a balcony, but it's not in the confirmation." Now Isla understood. She checked the system. It was available. "Yes, we have your booking, and the balcony is included. Late checkout is also possible. Until 1 p.m. the guests were happy. But Isla's brain, tired, spinning, worried. The breakdown and the breakthrough. That night, Isla cried a little. She sat in her small room holding a cup of tea. Why do they speak so fast? How can I survive this every day? Maybe this job is too big for me. But then she looked at her old notebook, and she smiled. She whispered, "No, this is not too big. My dream is just bigger than my fear." So she made a new plan. Isla's 3 powerful tricks to stay calm and speak better. 1. Ask again, without shame. Isla realized something powerful. Native speakers don't mind repeating themselves. But English learners are often too afraid to ask. From that day, Isla stopped pretending to understand. She started saying, "Can you please repeat that slowly? Sorry, could you say that again? Just to confirm, did you say balcony or bathroom?" And every time, people were kind. They respected her more for being clear and careful. 2. Repeat to stay in control. When a guest spoke quickly, Isla started using echoing. If someone said, "We're checking in under the name Daniel Smith," she would say, "Okay, Daniel Smith, let me check." Repeating key words gave her time to think and showed she was listening. It also helped her remember names, room types, and requests better. 3. Breathe between sentences. Isla learned to use pauses. She stopped rushing her words. She would say, "Sure, I'll check that for you." "Okay, I found your booking. Your room is ready now." Those pauses gave her time to think, time to relax, time to sound confident. She didn't try to sound fast. She tried to sound clear. And it worked. One day, a guest said something beautiful. A woman from Australia came to check out. Before leaving, she looked at Isla and said, "You speak so clearly. It's really easy to understand you." Isla smiled and said, "Thank you. I'm still learning." The guest replied, "We're all still learning, but you're doing an amazing job." Isla felt her heart fill with joy. What changed in her first week? She didn't become fluent overnight, but she became calm. And when you're calm, your mouth works better. Your memory works better. Your voice becomes stronger. That was Isla's secret. Her note in the journal that night: I don't need fast English. I need clear English. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be calm, helpful, and brave. Every day. Part 5. She stood on the stage and spoke with a shaking voice that changed lives. 2 months had passed since Isla started her hotel job. Every day she used English. Every day she learned new words. Every day she became stronger. Her manager was proud. Her guests were happy. One afternoon, a woman entered the hotel and handed Isla a flyer. It said, Community English Day. Small talks, real stories, big dreams. For English learners, by English learners, Isla smiled. But then the woman said, We're inviting you to speak. We've heard about your story, how you improved, how you started with simple habits. Your journey can inspire others. Isla's hands went cold. Speak? On stage? With lights? And people? And eyes watching? She replied softly, Me? But I'm still learning. The woman smiled and said, That's exactly why your story matters. The fear returned. That night, Isla lay awake. The same voice she thought she had defeated returned. What if I freeze? What if I forget everything? What if they laugh? She almost typed a message saying, I can't do it. But she stopped. She looked at the mirror. She whispered, I'm not ready, but maybe I'll never feel ready. And still, maybe I can still do it. The day of the event. The event was held in a small hall, not too many people, but enough to make Isla nervous. Other learners were sharing their journeys, short, sweet stories. Then the host announced, Now let's welcome Isla, the girl who made English her daily habit. The room clapped. Isla walked slowly to the stage. Her heart beat fast. Her fingers were cold. Her voice felt like it would break, but she remembered her rule. Start simple. Speak slowly, just be honest. Her speech, spoken slowly. She held the mic. She looked at the audience. Many were just like her, scared, learning, hoping. And she began. Hi, my name is Isla. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a native speaker. I'm just like you. She paused, took a breath, continued. I used to study English, but I couldn't speak. One day I realized English is not a subject. It's a habit, a daily practice, a part of life. People listened quietly. She shared her simple routine, talking to herself, listening while walking, practicing one sentence a day, using her phone in English. Then she smiled and said, I didn't change my city. I didn't have a tutor. I just made English my daily friend. The room was silent, but not the awkward kind, the powerful kind, where everyone is listening, not blinking. She ended with, You don't need perfect grammar. You need a little courage. Every day. Don't wait to feel ready. Start now. Speak slowly. Speak badly, but speak. She stepped back. The room exploded in claps. Some learners stood. Some had tears. After the speech, people came to her. They said, I was scared too. Now I want to try. Thank you. You gave me hope. I thought I was alone, but now I feel brave. Isla realized something big. Her fear didn't stop the message. Her message was more powerful than her fear. That night, she wrote in her journal, Today, I was not perfect, but today, I gave others permission to begin. Maybe fluency is not the goal. Maybe courage is. What you can learn from Isla today. You don't need to speak loudly. You don't need to speak perfectly. You just need to start speaking. even if your voice shakes, even if you forget a word, even if your hands sweat. Because someone out there, just like you, needs your story, your voice, your example. Part 6. The journey that changed her life, and why she never went back to the old Ila. Again, 3 months after Isla spoke on stage, her life started to feel different. She still worked at the hotel. She still did her daily habits, mirror talk, English-only Sundays, listening to English while cleaning. But something had shifted inside her. She was no longer learning English just for fun or for confidence. She had fallen in love with the freedom English gave her, the freedom to connect, to understand more, to express, to grow. The email that changed everything. One cold morning, Isla opened her inbox and saw a new message. Subject: Invitation to join the International Hospitality Conference. Paris, France. She read it twice, then again. The hotel had selected 2 employees to join the international team in France to help with guest services and attend hotel training sessions. Her name was on the list. She stared at the screen for 5 minutes, then whispered, "Me? Out of everyone?" The fear returned, stronger than ever. At first, Isla was excited, but within hours, doubt came crawling back. What if I fail in front of international staff? What if I can't understand their accents? What if I make the hotel look bad? She felt the same fear she had felt before her first customer conversation, before her first interview, before her first speech. But then something different happened. She didn't panic. She didn't cry. She opened her notebook, the same one where she had written every step of her journey. And on the last page, she wrote, "I've spoken English with fear before. Now I will travel with it too, because fear is heavy, but regret is heavier." Paris, her first time abroad. When the plane took off, Isla looked out the window. She whispered to herself in English, "This is not luck. This is the result of small habits, done daily, even when no one was watching." Paris was beautiful, but also full of challenges. Different accents, fast conversations, long presentations, loud environments. She made mistakes. She mispronounced some words. She asked people to repeat things. She even forgot how to say recommendation once during a guest's request. But she smiled through it. Because now, English was part of her life, not her fear. The final test, her first international presentation. One evening, her manager said, "Isla, tomorrow you'll speak for 5 minutes at the closing session. Share what you've learned." Isla nodded. She didn't shake. She didn't cry. She went to her room and prepared. She didn't write a big speech. She only wrote 5 lines in her notebook. "I started with fear. I created daily habits. I used English every day. I failed many times, but I never stopped." The final moment. On stage, under bright lights, in front of hotel leaders from around the world, Isla stood with a mic, and in her calm, clear, simple voice, she said, "Good evening. My name is Isla. I'm from a small city. I used to think English was not for me. But I changed that by speaking a little. Every day." She looked across the room. "I still make mistakes. I still get nervous. But now, English is not a subject in my life. It's part of how I live, learn, and grow." The audience applauded, and Isla smiled. The truth that every English learner must understand. She didn't become a speaker overnight. She didn't learn English by magic. She built it, with tiny daily actions, with small sentences, with mistakes, with courage. She turned English from a subject into a habit, and that habit changed her life. 1 month later, back home, When Isla returned home, her bakery friend asked, "So, are you fluent now?" She smiled and replied, "Fluent? I don't know. But English is part of me now. I don't study it, I use it, I live it, every day." Then she walked into her room, opened her notebook, and on the final page wrote, "Dear future me, never stop making English your habit. It gave you wings, don't stop flying. If you are watching this and you feel nervous about speaking English, if you think you're too slow, if you worry about mistakes, remember Isla. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't wait for confidence. She built it one small habit at a time. You can do the same. Make English your habit. Live it daily. Speak even when your voice shakes. And watch how it transforms your life. If this story helped you, imagine what the next one could do. So don't miss it. Hit subscribe, and let's grow your English together, one powerful story at a time.